Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome once again to yet another episode of Unzipping. If this is your first time here, this is a series of video in which I take a first look at an indie game that caught my eye, but for one reason or another, I hadn't had the chance to look at before. So yeah, this is not a review since it's the first time I'm looking at a game. It's more of a discovery. Think like an unboxing, but for a PDF. All right. I provide some game design commentary or graphic design commentary as well. And today we're looking at Destroy All Dungeons and Death to All Dragons by my friend and fellow Brazilian designer, Ricardo Peraça. So I first saw this game, I think Ricardo mentioned uh, gave it a elevator pitch on one of those self promo Saturday threads, and I look at the cover and I thought, wow, this looks fascinating. So I now have the chance to take a look at it, and I don't remember the pitch. I remember nothing about the game, but I remember it caught my eye, and it gives me a feeling of a game about revolutions. So I'm interested in investigating if that is actually the case. So let me remove this banner here. And as always, we start by looking at the itch page in which you can find the game. Okay, this is the one. The game is Pay What You Want, right? And let's see. Oh, if you want to get it, the link is in the description, as usual. Okay, so let's see what the author has to say about the game. It's about a game about rebellion, okay, resistance and revolution. Yes, so there you go. It was created for the RPG Latam Jam 2022. So if you're watching this video live, or we're now in, or if you're in the future, we're now in March 24th to 2022, and currently the RPG Latam Jam is ongoing. So it's a jam to create content for games released by Latin American authors. So this is one of them. So who are we? We are dwarves who escaped from enslavement from the dragon lords and now fight to free others who are still enslaved and to take back their treasures and their lands. In the past, the dwarven society was rigidly hierarchized in classes, divided by clans, and guided by strict religious dogmas. But today, the dwarves are all equals, accepting neither gods nor masters above them. Okay, so the image for the cover, I don't know, reminds me of some kind of art that I've seen before. I don't know if this is public domain, if it's a custom art, but yeah, the dwarven people fighting for justice, fighting to take back what is theirs, and freeing their people from slavery. So yeah, nice, cool symbolism right here, huh? And that's the only page we have. Oh no, we do have more preview. Okay. Oh, I won't spoil this. I'll take a look at it later on. Okay. Practically no original rules were created. Okay. Oh, I thought it was original set of rules. It, it adapts the rules of various games written by fellow Latin American game designers. Okay, so it's an amalgam of rules. Ability checks and combat. It's from the Shadow Lords Tiamat Kingdom. Crafting is a mix of the Iron Core with Ziggurat of the Four Gods. Magic items with things from Gemonology. Structure rules from Solar Blaze and Cosmic Spells, and the Oracle rules comes from Morgue. And advancement rules are from the mud. Okay, this is very cool, right? I used to I have the habit to include all my inspirations on my games. I think I missed it, no, a couple of them, but for me, it's cool to see the sources of inspirations and the mechanics from a game. So that makes sense to be a part of RPG Latam Jam. It actually combines a lot of mechanics from fellow Latin American designers, right? The rules are modular. Okay, you can use only the combat rules on chapter 2, not the crafting rules, or exchange of these modules. Okay. If you want to use everything, you have the complete set of dice used except for the d20. The setting of this game is portion of a larger fantasy setting I have been working on called Abysses and Aberrations, to which I may or may not return in the future. So there you go. There is a large setting. Oh, I see some hexes here. It's the domains. Right. Okay, so let's get the game. We have suggestions $3. Okay. We have the pages, the spreads, and the character sheet. Let's go over the pages. Open it, and voila. Just let me make sure you're seeing what I see. It is a public domain art then. Oh, okay. Thanks, Ricardo, for... Yeah, I had the feeling that I saw it somewhere else, but we'll look in the credits. Okay, cool. Right. Map using HexKit. Okay. Dice font. I've used this before. Art from the public domain generically. Okay. And here all the credits of the inspiration for the mechanics. Very cool. Very cool idea, Ricardo, to just like combine what has been done in the scene. Okay. So let me see if it makes sense for me to show spreads. Yeah. So the game doesn't, the layout is not, does not take advantage of having a spread. So we're going to use single page view. As we normally do, the first thing I'm gonna do is just a flip through, just to get a feel of the general layout and aspects of the game, and then we come back and dive into it. All right. So we have a very clear. We're talking about how many pages? 50 pages. Okay, so it's a medium-sized game for my standards, and we have 8 chapters. Oh, cool. They all use some kind of dwarven language, Dwarven, Dwarfrey, Dwarstarker, Dwarkon. So we have the species and the culture, the feats, the masterpieces, the gemstones and science, the places, the enemies, the dragons, dragon lords, the purpose and the fate of the dwarves, the dwarvish, the draconish, and the other languages. Okay, so there is a guide for the languages. Right, so it presents itself more like a kind of a fiction book or a guide to a culture, to a world, than a rule book, right? There is no, like, the chapters are not named like character creation or combat rules or advancement or adventure design or GM rules. They have this kind of a flavor, like you were reading into a setting or a guidebook for a culture, not for a game, right? So it gives this kind of flavor. So we have an introduction, the species and the character creation. the abilities now here. And so when you talk about the capacities and athletic feats, we have the abilities and the rules of combat, the skills for crafting. That's the other modular part of the game, right? That's a lot of words and small numbers we'll get into. And those are gemstones. I think this is part of the crafting aspect of the game, I'm assuming. Cool public domain art here. And this is the places, hideouts. Okay. Outposts and the domain of the dragons, a territory that you will play on, I'm assuming. Those are the place. Oh, okay. So we have like two paragraphs explaining each one of those kind of those icons we can see on the map. Right. So it's a there's a lot of setting elements here. And those are the dragons. Okay. There are different species of dragon folk or dragon lords, dragon kin. And there are humans as well. Kobolds. As well, sea dragons. Oh, that's interesting. And a Tarask. Oh, okay, the Dragon Lord of Tarask Fold. Okay, cool. True dragons, wyverns, and so on. So, okay, there's a lot of variety when regarding the dragon folk. I don't remember how he called it. Pseudo dragons. Okay. And this is advancement, game master, an oracle. If you want to play without a GM, okay, cool. I like it. And this is the language. Oh, okay. So this is a glossary of sorts. And this is for the dragons. Okay. Other languages and the character sheet. Okay. Strength, Dex, Con. Just three attributes. So gemstones look like a very important part of the character since it takes this whole bottom fourth of the sheet. Okay. And that's it. Okay, cool. 5. I encourage you to do so. Yeah. I have a design that I think I'm going to release in Portuguese first, Ricardo, that I list like 2 pages of references, like stating as you did on your H page. This mechanic belongs to this game. This one belongs to this game, and I think it's cool. Yeah. Okay, so let's start. What we have here. This is the same text that we have on the H page, so I'll skip it. Now, the dwarf is the actual name of the species. So yeah, it's called species in this game. They live in the cold and volcanic mountains. Okay, so this is a setting, flavor. They used to live in underground citadels, and then the dragon lords and the draconic aberrations that served and emerged from the abysses slaughtered their warriors, raided citadels. Okay, so there has been a kind of a domination, an invasion, and the dwarf phrase, the culture of those who are or were enslaved. Okay, so most members of the dwarf share the culture called dwarf phrase. Okay. They live in the dungeons. Okay. Forced labor. And who the ones that escaped live in outposts and hideouts. Okay, so this is a foreshadow to the chapter that we looked over, where you can create your hideouts and outposts. They don't believe in any gods. Okay, not divided into clans anymore. And they see themselves as members of a single community. Okay, freedom and fraternity, Freiheit and Gaiheit are the only principles that guide their society. Okay, cool. Quite so weapons they use, they trade, they speak the Duarzu language, all right? Common language to humans as well. Now, Ninion. Okay, so the Kainin are like the elves, the Ninian are the halflings, the Taladir are Fongs. Oh, okay. Oh, I like that. Deviating a little bit from the origins of old school games. And the Zarskor, the orcs. Okay. If I understand correctly, we only play as the Dwar. And all of them, those orcs, fauns, of halflings and elves are actually pejorative names. They have their proper names. Let me see the descriptions. Yeah, so the Kainen, tall, slender, graceful, sharp eyes and ears, okay. Ninian are short, nimble feet, good swimmers, Taladir. Vigorous, hooves and horns, okay. And the orcs, tall and strong, keen sense of smell, blood is black, and the skin is gray because of the blood. Okay, right. Okay, so there's a communal culture that makes people. The Worth is a culture who rebel against the rule and fight to free their homeland from the aberrations, okay? So the game itself, from this very beginning, it reads like a novel, like the choice of font size, font spacing, margin, the layout itself. I mean, there's no like bolding game terms or lists of bullet points and everything. It kind of takes us back to the content list that reads more as chapters of a book, about a species, about a culture, and less like a game book. And the choice Ricardo made here apparently is to keep this tone along the game and present it like if you were reading a textbook. You see, character creation is kind of goes with the flow of the rest of the text, right? You have to read through it as you would. It's not it doesn't look like a game that you skim over and grab the information you need. You kind of have to delve into it and enjoy it as you would with a novel. It's possible. Okay. So it's possible that your character belongs to a different speaking species. Okay. Who was raised in the dwarf culture. Okay. They live in the same hideouts. So we play as characters that escaped in slavery. Name and describe your character, and then there's the instructions to determine your character's traits, crafting skills, equipment, the location of the group, And then there is rules for advancement and the languages. Okay, so let's see how we make a character. Okay, here we have a hint of a table, but then the text goes back to this text flow right quickly. You can, you have dexterity, constitution, and strength. So you assign the 4, the 6, or in the 8, or the 6, the 6, the 6 to the three of them. Then either roll the constitution score die or choose half to determine your stamina. Okay, so if I chose D8 for my constitution, I can roll to determine my stamina, or go with 4. I would go with 4 any day because I suck at rolling dice. I don't like to rely on dice rolls to determine stats. So yeah, thank you for providing the average as an option, because I know a few people like me that would rather get it for sure. Right, now checks. Okay, you can choose not to roll as well. You can either roll or use half of its maximum value. You can only choose it when it's not in a hurry. So okay, so that's like those choose 10 that D20 systems have. After the result of the ability is determined, the GM rolls 3d6. Then they compare each d6 to the ability. Okay, so a d6 whose result is equal to or lower than the result of the ability counts as a hit. Oh, I see. Where did you say this resolution mechanic is from again? The rules for ability checks found in the OSR game Shadow Lords TM Old Kingdom, with only a few adjustments. So okay, this is a curious system. I either roll my d4, d6, or d8, depending on the ability I'm getting, or I can choose just to go with the middle value, and then the GM rolls 3d6, and you have to check how many of your dice are equal or lower. Then you get a critical failure, failure, success, or a critical success. Interesting. Very, very, very cool. Okay, I haven't seen anything like that before. Although I know that it doesn't really count that much when you play a game, unless you're rolling like 100 times during a session, I'd really like to see like the distribution of statistics for those 4 results on any dice or something like that. Advantage goes with the dice pool of the GM. 46, discard the highest, 46, discard the lowest. Okay. A character may lose stamina as the result of a failure. Okay, so this is a GM discretion or a group discretion if you're playing GMless. So you can do group ability checks. Now combat, let's see. Initiative determined by the game master. They may choose to attack. Dexterity for ranged, strength for melee. Each hit decreases the creature's stamina by 1. Okay, cool. Now, when the creature attacks, the character makes an ability check to dodge. Okay, so the game master does not roll the attack, actually. It rolls the 3d6 just to see if the dodging of the character works. The base damage to the character stamina is 3, and each hit decreases the damage. Okay, so if you do nothing, you get 3 damage, and then you roll each hit you get, it decreases. Okay, and armor has reduction. Okay, you recover 1 lost stamina with a night of rest, and you can't choose half maximum value on combat. Okay, very easy, very straightforward, and kind of flavorful. That's a different sort of dice pool rolling stuff. Yeah, you rolling one dice versus the game master rolling a pool of dice. That's interesting. I like it. Now here is the crafting stuff. As the author said, those are modular. So my expectation is that the rules are completely different from the basic ones we saw, since we can like just pick and choose from those rules. Now, when you create a character, you choose 2 crafting skills: alchemy, bone carving, brewing. Okay, interesting. I really like crafting in games. I made a game about crafting, so yeah, you would imagine. Okay, you just pick the ones you like. Now you start with some equipment, right? That's an interesting placement of starting equipment in the middle of the crafting skills and crafting checks. Okay, but anyways, the craft an item, you have the skill. You may use more than one crafting skill, makes sense, and more than one character. A hideout has all the tools and the materials. And how long the game master defines materials, workers, and the time. Now, okay, so there is that's the mechanical part of it. Complexity of the item, and depending on the complexity, the harder it will be for the characters to craft an item of quality. Oh, okay. So a 164 chance for a complexity 3 item. You roll a number of d4 equal to the item's complexity. Keeping only the lowest roll. Okay, so this is harsh, right? Oh, okay, but a masterpiece is the artifact is actually a very, very good item. So you can roll a 3 and keep okay, so if it's a kind of a simple item, right, you roll a single d4 and you have like 50% of chance to get at least a good item. Okay, so it's not as harsh as I imagine. For masterpieces, yes, but yeah, cool. However, the 2 other values on the bottom of the d4 that are facing the player, oh, okay. Okay, that's smart. It's using the d4, the other numbers that shows on the face of the d4 that are facing the player are also relevant. One is the speed, and the other one, the efficiency. Oh, so here I see the iron core implementation, right? The rules on a very clever way, using a single d4, but you use the whole face. Ha! Huh, I dig this. So you don't have a choice on the quality, that's the result. But the other two, the speed and efficiency, you do. You can choose either one. But what are the implications of crafting something very fast and very efficiently? Ooh, okay, that's a lot of text. I won't read at all. I won't tire you. Just let me try and skim through. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much what it should mean. So takes more time than expected and uses more material. They may have an impact in the future. The next time they have a shortage. Okay, so this gives some narrative prompts. For example, let's say you're trying to do a special item for to avoid something to happen, and then like you waste a lot of time doing it, you get very slow crafting, and the GM might say that the enemy is already in motion, and the thing you're trying to stop is already in course, and you have like a to hurry pretty much, or waste of materials. I need to make like 10 of those, but I wasted a lot, so I have to take like a side quest to find more materials. Okay, so those are narrative prompts and directions you can take as a result of our crafting. Okay, there is some bonuses for armor and damage if you create special quality items. If you're experienced crafter, you can reduce the number of the d4s rolled by one. Okay, I don't know. Maybe this is advancement, I'd assume. Yeah. You can use special materials, but only good or masterpiece items. Okay. So you can get raw materials without checks. Here, okay. So those numbers and are examples of items. Okay. Alchemy. Okay, so those are the all the crafting fields, so to speak, skills, and here examples of things you would try to do and their respective complexity. Okay, kind of a little hard to read on this layout, but yeah, now that you get the gist of it, so alchemy, bone carving, brewing, ceramic, and so on. Okay, that's a lot of flavorful stuff that you can do, like cooking, for example. Roast stuffed meat wrapped in pastry served with sauce. How nice. Let's say you have like a diplomatic event that you want to impress someone, and you use cooking. I really like cooking in games, and I think they can be better used. So if you have like a skill on it, it can be a cool adventure hook, or yeah, I dig it. Glass blowing. Oh, this is fascinating. I love it. Leather, smithing. Those are more classical ones. Weaving and woodworking. Okay. Brewing, mead, wine, ale, beer, and whiskey. Very cool. Musical instrument. Oh, okay. I think if I were to choose, Ricardo, one of the subsets, the modules, as you said, I would go for the crafting one and just like play a game revolving around crafting, because I really like the D4 role here, and the examples you gave here are very, very flavorful. Super cool. Neat. Now, what do we have here? Minerals and gemstones. Oh, you can apply them to the items, but only the top ones. The artifacts, the masterpieces. Okay. You have to mine one, roll 2d12, the number of sides and type of energy. Oh, okay. So this is a gemstone generator. This is so cool. Gravitational energy. Oh, this is very nice. I told you that's all I care about now. It's like going on little adventures and find gemstones and going back to my hideout and like create a, I don't know, a jewelry, a ring with a kinetic gemstone. Super cool. Now you have to inlay it. Oh, it's a jewelry crafting skill. Okay, complexity 2. And then you can get as a result the effect is weak and or it's a strong. So yeah, very cool. We can adapt it. Okay. How the energy of the gemstone manufactures a game master choice, right? So it goes with bonuses for attacks and things like that. And here we have the powers. Yeah, again, it's plain text, so yeah, you have like to dig a little bit to find it. But yeah, there you go. Radiant, thermal, protects from extreme temperatures. Yeah, that was what I was trying to see. That's not just bonuses, but they have like more narrative or fictional effects, so to speak, like things that alter the scenario, which for me are more interesting. Sound gemstone muffles the sound of movement. This is super cool, right? You're trying to be stealthy, makes the voice louder. Okay, super interesting. Oh, okay. Now this so the sides of the gemstone are actually the sides of the dice you roll when you use the effect. Huh. To compare, and then the GM compares a roll that's opposing rows to see if the effect works. Okay, and like it drops down, if it gets to 4 or below, it is destroyed. Ricardo, did you get those rules from a game as well? The crafting rules are a mix of the iron core with the ingenious ziggurat of the four gods dungeon generation dice rolls. Okay, so I think you used a system that was made for dungeon generation and repurpose it for this crafting rules. Is that what you're saying? Either way, really cool stuff, huh? Like, yeah, you kind of you're spending the gemstone as you use it. Yeah, exactly. Let's play as artificers. Yeah, they fight. This is from Gemonology. Gemonology. Okay. Oh, there's a reference as well to the Gemonology that I missed. Okay. Incorporating the diegetic mechanic of the minimalist game Gemonology. Starship rules. Okay, this is a whole bunch of references to create this one. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, that's what game design is, folks. Is like looking at things and creativity. One of the definitions of creativity is establishing connections between things that once were not connected, right? So yeah, you see a dungeon making rule, a starship rule, a iron core mechanic, and then you see those connections and you create something different. This is basis of creativity. Okay, and then the gem can be destroyed. It can cause damage if it's not very good inlaid. Well inlaid, I should say. Okay, you can't put more than one gemstone on the same thing. That's a part of the science, current science. Really like it. If the game was just that, I would love it anyway. Because yeah, crafting is my jam. Now, what we have here, the domains. We had clans before, so now we don't. We live in hideouts or dwar heights, built deep in natural cave complexes and tunnels. Okay, some outposts are temporary. The dwarf frame make communications and trade. Okay, right. So when you create a group of character, you determine in which domain your hideout is located. Okay, simple D10 row, and I think this reports to this map, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There you go. So this is where you are. Now you fortify it. Crafting skills again to give it some protection. Rolling d4s. All right. You see what kind of gate you have. All right. Could I put a gemstone on a gate? I wonder. And there is the structure. Your gate can be attacked. Oh, okay, cool. So it's like a living thing. It has like hit points or something like that, and you can repair it. All right. So you can play the hideout as a fort, like a thing that tries to avoid attacks or invaders. Now the outpost, and you have to create one. You choose the type, get the materials, the workers, and craft it. Okay, so those are big numbers. They are they have more. They're stronger than the hideouts. No, not just the gate, right? Yeah. Okay. This is the building quality, and also crafting speed and efficiency apply here. Okay. Okay, but there is a destruction score here. Okay, so you don't need not you, but the enemy doesn't need exactly to like get your structure to zero, because depending on how hard they hit, the structure can collapse, and you check it with a roll of the d6. So you see, this game has like a lot of mini games in play. Right. A fort could be the same rules as an outpost. Oh, but with a certain number of the 100. Okay. Right. Now the domains. All the citadels are occupied. They have servants. Right. They're the mountains and the plateaus of the northwestern region of the continent. So I suppose in the larger scenario that Ricardo has been working on, this is just a part of it. There's a larger map, I'm assuming. Ziggurats is where the idea of using the other values of the four come from. Ah, very cool. I should check this game as well. That sounds like a fun thing. Yeah. Now, an explanation of the map and the main borders of Erdaria and gigantic aberrations. All right. So yeah, I assume that the gameplay is focused on this area of the map only, and you don't traverse these parts. Now, We have a short description of each of those 10 that I'm obviously not reading, but you will if you're preparing your game, or as I'd like to play, just find out when you get to it. Of course, if you roll a d10 here and you get the domain where in which your hideout will be built, you should like go to the domain and just read it, because you just get some information of the ruler, half dragon, wyvern, drake. Okay, all right. So those kinds of dragons that we saw in the by the end of the book are well represented here on the 10 domains, right? They are very flavorful descriptions, like volcanoes and forests. There's a bit of story, or here a history, I should say. A little bit of lore that kind of deepens what happened in this place. There you go, the 10 are there. Now, here are the aberrations, as they are called. There are 9 kinds: amorphous, arachnid, bestial, draconic, gigantic, serpentine, tentacular, undead, and worm-like. Okay. And many species in each kind. All right. Despise all and hate all living things. Right. The draconic aberrations, from the lesser ones to the dragon lords, they have common traits: reptilian appearance, and so on. They some of them can breathe flames. They have really slow regeneration. The term dragon is just a certain species of the draconic aberrations. Okay. They crave to accumulate more and more riches, land, and slaves. Not no relation whatsoever to reality, right? Okay. They do not procreate to make sure they descendants don't attempt to overthrow them, right? So I'm assuming they are very long living. They also have a rage. Okay, so they have a rage score. If the roll is higher than the rage, the creature may decide to flee, etc. Okay. If it's lower, it will be enraged, then will fight to the death. Okay, so sort of a morale check, but in the other way around. Now we have basilisks. And here we have, for all these creatures, we have a paragraph, a short description, and then we have stats. Those are the stamina, the attacks, the rage score, and some special powers, right? Dracotaurus, lower body of a bull, a humanoid upper body, the head of a lizard, and covered in hard scales. Wow. Drakes. Okay, no of them. Dragon worms, small winged aberrant worms. Okay. Half dragons. Human cultists. Okay, humanites, kobolds, lindworms, many-legged dragons. Okay, I like the variation. So since the draconic aberrations are such an important part of the scenario, since they actually invaded the lands and now are the power over it, I like that they have all those different looks and feels. I'm assuming like grabbing from different sources of folklore regarding dragons, right? Different representations. pseudo dragons, but there's very small rangers are the ones who hunt the aberrations. Sea dragons, and the Tarrasque is a unique dragon. We all know this guy, right? What is a Tarrasque Kudok? I wonder. It's children. Maybe, yeah. But true dragons, the strongest species. Sultan. Okay, the only male one currently known to be alive. Okay, Sultan, the Dragon Lord of Skarkenfloat. Okay. You had the dragons, wyverns or wyverns? How do you say that? I think it's wyvern, right? There you go. So you have a whole chapter here on the monsters, creatures, aberrations, as they say. Now, what's the goal here? Why do we play, right? As you know, when I analyze a game, I like to see how the rewards are implemented, because this is how I associate what kind of game we have, right? The questions I try to answer is, what kind of behaviors this game encourages? What tools does it offer, and for you to pursue those behaviors, and what kinds of rewards you get when you actually act with those behaviors. So looking at advancement here, since it says it is a game about revolution and rebellion and everything, and your goal is to free the enslaved by the Dragon Lords, I would assume the game offers tools and rewards regarding seeking those such goals, right? When you create a character, I don't think you have like personal goals. Do you? I don't remember. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. So I'm assuming this is a group goal. So a group of characters gains one advancement for each of them when they free enslaved dwarf race. There you go. Right? When they recruit people to the cause, raid the Dragon's Lord Citadel, acquire resources, okay, like trying to survive, and if they overthrow Dragon Lord, it's 2 advancements. Okay, so there you go. It's a game about fighting against an oppressive system. So this is how you advance. You can use it to raise an ability score, raise stamina. Can you raise like the quality of your hideout? Like craft better? I don't remember reading. I won't go back, but you use or you can like use the resources to craft improvements to your place. Excellent. Now the role of the game master, who works to make the game challenging, interesting, fair, safe, and fun to all. I think it's this is a job for everyone, not only the game master, I'm assuming. Okay. And then the Oracle, if you want to play without the game master, my kind of jam. I don't think this game needs one. The roles are very set in stone. It's just like I would do it with you use a D10 row to and D10 plus D6 row to oracles. Yeah, I like this one. If they match, an unexpected event happens. Ah, cool. If the match is 5 or 6 is good, 3 or 4 is neutral, or 1 and 2 are low. Okay. Huh, very clever oracle. Does it come from another game too, Ricardo? Or is this is yours? Oracle Rules comes from Morg. Morg, I don't even know what this game is. Honestly, let me see. Credits. Morg by Sofia Peralta. Okay, I like that. I want to look more on it. Let me go back. Where was I? Is it here? No. Oh, there you go. Oracle. Boom. You can use it to determine the outcome of an action. Add a +1 to the result if the character has any knowledge. Okay. Or +2 if it has a trait. Okay. Yeah, because you have just three attributes, and they are strength, constitution, and dexterity. They are not based on anything else like knowledge. So if with a GM, they would indicate if you get that or not. In case of a GM-less play, you have to have some kind of substitute for that, right? Cool. Now the language. I really appreciate that. It's far from my skill set to kind of craft some parts of language. Oh, so I kind of guessed the pronunciation of some words, and I don't speak German by any means, but when I read like Dwarfheit, I guessed it was like some German inspired, and my guess was correct. Free adapt words from the German language. Okay, cool. And the Sarkonil is from the Hungarian language. This one, I'm afraid I don't have the skill to even try to mimic the pronunciation, but super cool. And the guide in other languages here. Right. So yeah. Now I see why equipment and gemstones occupy half of the character sheet, right? They are very important in the gameplay. Now, regarding adventure creation and things like that, I think there is nothing really. So the game implies by that this is a job for the group or the game master to come up with like the sorts of adventures that you would live in this world, right? I mean, we have the occupied citadels, we have a hideout, we have the crafting, you have the your goals to overcome and to like free enslaved dwarves and everything. So I am assuming the adventures would go around this kind of thing. So there is no like inciting incident or a large arc of things happening that are included in the game. It's more like, okay, let's do this thing to help bring down one of the dragon lords and that kind of stuff, unless I missed it somehow. But yeah, it kind of depends on your own creativity to do so. That's all right. It's okay. And that's it. That is the game. Okay. Right. I really liked it. I personally appreciate the combination of rules to create something unique, especially something that is so modular that you can pick and choose what to do. As you see, as you saw, I loved the crafting rules especially, and this part of the survival game that you have a hideout and you're looking for ways to craft stuff to make your place better, to prepare for a rebellion. Yeah, that really speaks to me. And so the rules are slim. The game follows this kind of a novel or text flow way of explaining the game. So you should, expect to enjoy the reading this game as a regular book more than as a guide of rules, really, which is interesting. Something that I don't have the kind of skill set to do. I generally opt for things that are very bullet pointy and diagrams and things instead of a free flow of text. So it's refreshing to see something that's different from my skill set, right? And overall, very clever use of those rules. A unique take on the aspects of like class struggle and overtaking an oppressive force using fantasy tropes in a different way. Really like the expansion of draconic uh, aberrations and creatures to all these different flavorful things. And I am assuming this world that Ricardo is creating goes beyond that and offers a lot of opportunity to exploring the political conflicts that are going on. So I do recommend you play it if you want to grab it. As I said, uh, yeah, it was nice speaking that. Thank you. The players should decide what to do, where to go, who to attack, etc. So yeah, so this is a sandbox style of play, right, Ricardo? Yeah, I have. There you go. You have a map. You have the guys there. You know who lives there. You know the characteristics of each of the dragon lords, and you know your final objectives. So this is why you just that's why I see this game being played without a GM very easily. Like you open a map and see, okay, who of those bastards we're going to take down now? What do you need to get there? And work on that on a kind of open world kind of gameplay, like a sandboxy. Okay. And yeah, that makes sense. So as I was saying, if you want to get the game, it's pay what you want. So if you have the means to, I encourage you to support the author. And the link's in the description. And this is not this one. Let me get the correct link for you. That is the one here, right? It's kind of hard for you to type it all out. So use the link in the description. Okay. And if you liked it, if you liked the video, please consider supporting the channel, subscribing and sharing it. I intend to do this very often to highlight designers and games that from the indie community. And for me as well as an opportunity to learn more games. I learned a lot today reading from all those cool references that Ricardo brought to the table. And I deeply appreciate if I can continue doing so. So yeah, you can buy me a coffee on coffee.com. The link is also in the description, and all my games are on itch. I have a bunch of them, like all of those, a game on a mug, a game you play while you sleep, an SRD that is free, game about crafting as well. This is my take on crafting, a completely different approach, but I do appreciate the way that Ricardo did it on this game, right? Very, very cool. Definitely enjoyed my read. Thank you, Ricardo, for creating the game. And that's it for today. Hope to see you on the next video. Bye-bye.